Since the mid-90s, we've had a research program here at the Science Park for high school and undergraduate students. It's a 10-week program, and we get kids from all over the country. And here's an opportunity for a student to learn how to go about doing science to find an answer. On the first day, students spend an entire day in orientation. They meet their fellow interns, fill out paperwork, take their badge photos, and attend safety trainings pertaining to their work in and outside the laboratory.
I am working on a protein assay, and basically we're just trying to figure out how much protein is in our unknown sample. I just like learning about the body and how stuff works and why people are like they are. So
I looked around the internet and I knew that MD Anderson was a premier cancer research center, so obviously I would think like, oh, maybe they have some opportunities for undergraduate students. And then I happened to come across Smithsville and I was like, oh, this is kind of close to home but far enough away, and I think it would be a good match for me.
For my life, I want to offer my services for the health of others. And so because of that, I want to come to the basics of it and do research. And so that's what sparked me, a high school student, to the science program.
When I was younger, I always wanted to do this, and the lab is just amazing, and I love the equipment and working in it, and I hope this is what I do when I get older.
I grew up heavily dyslexic. I still am today. That was actually one of the things that helped teach me how to read, was getting into sciences and reading scientific books. It's the aha moment, it's the light bulb, and that's something I really don't see in anything else, and that's really what draws me to science.
It's the right career for someone who doesn't want to be bored. Because the nice thing about this job is that you learn something new every day. And the more we understand how cancer happens and what the processes are and the mechanisms, the more we can provide information to people to reduce their risk as much as they can.
we're working with MCF7 cells. And right now we're making dilutions with the buffer we're using and the cells.
In this lab, we're studying how unusual DNA structures, not the usual double helix structure that we see in textbooks, but unusual DNA structures could be possible locations where the DNA is more prone to damage, and then this will lead to cancer.
6 students participated in a roundtable discussion to share their thoughts and feelings after 5 weeks of doing research.
Each step is so important for like the final experiment. And a lot of experiments are half-day experiments, and you're just like, you're doing everything kind of incrementally, and you're just doing the next step and the next step, and maybe you skip a step, and it's
sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay.
Exactly, and it's worrisome. Sometimes you don't even want to go to your mentor and say something. You just want to keep doing it. You just want to be like, I didn't notice.
I do the same thing.
Exactly. Has it worked out ever?
Yes.
Exactly. So it's kind of weird.
Sometimes you can get away with it.
Yes.
It's groundbreaking. Your first year of internship is you finally get an experiment to work, because it doesn't work the first time. It never does. So you finally, I remember when Philip first got a pretty picture from a PCR, he was like waving it around, showing it around the lab.
I think that this is one of the best summer intern programs. Ever since I joined MD Anderson, I have had probably close to 10 summer interns, and all the feedbacks I've got are positive, extremely positive. I am trying to motivate all those young minds to dedicate themselves to doing science, to become a lab rat.
Has it ever been like, did I add that into that too?
Yeah.
Oh, you have like 10 tubes.
Yeah.
It's like, did I add that? I'm like trying to look at the volume.
I guess so.
Is it 1 microliter more in that?
You're doing side by side, just like, come on.
Yeah.
I want more cells, so then I need them to have more room to allow for them to grow. So then I can use them for later studies where I'm going to transfer DNA into the mammalian cells. It's very easy to contaminate mammalian cells, so everything has to be really sterile.
But it's even harder when you do PCR, like, because you do PCR?
Yeah, I do.
And that little, like, 96 well plate, everything looks the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So you can't tell anything. And then somebody might come in, ask you a question while you're under the hood doing it, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Or then you get distracted and you're like, where was I?
Yeah.
The most challenging thing would probably be the PCR, because sometimes it doesn't always work, and when it doesn't work, you have to redo pretty much it. And that's happened to me a couple of times, having to redo it.
My mentors always come by and they're like, well, you should have wrote down your lab book.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, thanks, but
It's not helping me
I
out.
like the wing it version of science. Kind of just go with it.
That's how my mentor is. If I
Yeah.
do something wrong, he's like, these things happen. You'll have another chance. In fact, I'll redo it for you. I don't know about the hovering
It's really
mentor
nice.
thing.
My mentor's always right next to me, and so she like cringes every time,
Oh.
and I go crazy. I'm like, it's
Yes.
okay, I can do it over. I know mine.
These are thoracic glands.
Oh,
by the
thoracic
looks of them.
glands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one thoracic gland or two?
These are two. Actually, these are both of them. You can see 1, 2.
So those are two pairs
Yeah,
of.
those are the two. And you can see
Okay.
these are like serial section. They're usually about 5 microns thick.
Uh-huh.
So they cut 5 microns, and then they cut another 5 microns, and then they lay it on top on the slide.
My mentor screams.
Oh, that's what
She goes,
does.
ah! She's just like this tiny, like 110-pound Asian woman, and like I'm about to like add the wrong chemical, and she just so, like, pull back, and I'm like, okay.
Never mind.
It's not.
I get a look. I get a. Oh yeah. That's what I get.
Yeah.
I worked in a lab before, but this not so much of something that was interesting to me. Back at school, I work in a lab, bacteria, dealing with most bacteria, and this is more human-based, so it's exciting, and it's something that I find interesting.
I'll point at them. That went out here. Okay.
As part of the research experience, interns are required to meet with their mentors on a weekly basis to discuss research progress, problems he or she is facing, and solutions for producing valid data.
You're going to get some
Right.
samples that aren't going to work just right.
Because they're going to single molecule.
Right. The goal is to actually have a single molecule.
When I got into this program, I was really excited because I was like, wow, I'm going to be able to work with like these world-class researchers and be doing research that like has very applicable and have like potential treatments, I guess, in solving the problem of cancer.
Yeah, you know those results have a good possibility of being used in a really cool paper that could further the field, and just like one of the pictures that you make or one of the experiments that you run to completion could at least give a hint to something that could be groundbreaking.
I haven't always been Lovell Jones, full professor, director of a major center. I've been Lovell Jones' technician. But there's always been someone who's had faith in me that I've been able to identify as a mentor, plus also having faith in myself.
This is actually my first research experience, and right now I feel like I'm in a really good place because I was like Philip when I came here. I didn't know anything about like the equipment and stuff. The first week I did it, I put a sample in the centrifuge without the top, and it sounded like an airplane motor.
Stuff doesn't work, and then everyone makes fun of you, and then when other people's stuff doesn't work, you make fun of them. So it's mutual.
You can probably do it without a mentor, but what's going to happen is it takes you much long, and you're more likely to fail. I would give that advice that the old professor gave to me that day. I mean, follow your dreams, follow your star, follow your passion. The only requirement to be a scientist is to feel that passion. You feel that passion, you're good enough.
The internship, like our fellow interns, we kind of just like share our experiences with, not our successes and our failures, but just like how we're looking at the program itself.
Each week for 10 weeks, every student is required to attend the lunch lecture series, which enhances scientific understanding and reinforces the skills learned in the laboratory.
I feel like the lunch series is important because sometimes during lab you don't get kind of introduced to different things that they do in Science Park, like work with DNA or work with cancer cells directly. So the lunch lecture series kind of gives you a background about that stuff, and it's a nice bridge between what you know and what you don't know to kind of connect your knowledge to the experiments.
It's getting more complicated.
More complicated? Why?
Because it's hard to understand.
Oh.
So yeah, but we're trying to work through it. A lot of PowerPoints.
I like once about the DNA and the structure. I think learning about DNA is very interesting, and it can help a lot in biology and my later courses I want to take in college and stuff.
You don't have to know
100% that this is what you want to do, because I think very few people have that certainty at that age. So science lends itself to a wide variety of activities. It's extremely rewarding, and yeah, I would absolutely recommend that students consider a field in science.
But I think if you start earlier too, you figure out like what exactly what you want to do instead of waiting until your last year in college and still like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to go to grad school, I'm going to medical school. So I think starting early, you know, prepares you like, okay, yeah, this is something I enjoy, I want to do this, and that way you can already get a head start.
Yeah, and you can be the best at like what you want to do.
Yeah. I thought coming here that I'm only doing this to add to my resume because I'm pre-med, I want to be a doctor. But coming into this program and doing the research, it's really sparked my interest, and now I'm on the fence, and I'm like, maybe I should pursue my MD, PhD, because then I could like have my one of my feet in like both worlds, and I think that would be really, really cool.
The way that I help the mentor program is bringing the children here to this lab and showing them that there are many other ways to be involved with science without being a doctor.
You don't get to see other things if you don't do other things. Like, you know, you can be a physical therapist, a tech. I don't think so much they're not interested, I think they don't know. They just don't know. Aware. Yeah, they're not aware that there's other things that you can do.
I've always thought of, like, maybe it would be better if I did something else and gained more experience in another field and broadened some of those horizons. But that all kind of went away when my mentor said, hey, you're doing some pretty good research. How'd you like to be in a paper?
I think this is one of the best opportunities for kids to really get real life experience about what science is about, and they have such an opportunity to grow. They not only get to learn how to do experiments, which in itself is challenging and rewarding, but at the end of their internship they make a presentation to the group. There's a little bit of competitiveness about doing a good job, and these students rock when they give their talks. I mean, they are just so impressive.
Because like now, since it's close to presentation time, I know what I need to do, so I'm trying to juggle a lot of projects, like a lot of different tests and experiments at the same time. And then when stuff doesn't work, earlier we could say, let's try it again, or like, let's try something new. Now it's kind of like, we only have a limited number of tries now, so we can only use what we can get, right?
So getting to the end of the summer, it's a little more frustrating, but I don't know, maybe we'll look back in 3 weeks and be like, okay, no, I did something. But it's hard to do that right now.
I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna take a nap.
How far along are you on your presentation? Yeah.
Not far at all. I'm on slide 5. Haven't even got to data yet. I'm just trying to basically explain it so far. The next 2 weeks we're gonna finish up my presentation, like put it all together, do mini versions. She's gonna help me with that. And then we're gonna practice on my presentation.
In order to have a good presentation, I think I should know what I'm going to talk about first. It's really important for me to study so I can answer any questions the audience asks me. And I'm pretty nervous because I have to present in front of all the doctors and the PIs and stuff. So, but if I study a little bit more, I think I can do it.
I've never really presented before, like kind of like a panel of all these scientists and professors who are all like listening and judging our work, and then like obviously they're going to be nice about it, but you're still going to be intimidated, like, oh, they're like, oh, that's just a student, he's not really that good or something. Like
each student gives a talk at the end of the 10-week period. Occasionally, they get some great data and we see some great stuff happening. So they spend all day giving their presentations and they get an idea of how things work. It's not just an experience for them, it's an experience for everybody in the lab. At the end, everybody's happy, they change clothes, and it's off to barbecue, and that's kind of the culmination of the year. These kids don't understand how special their self-consciousness is, and they need to take advantage of that. I mean, I wish I could have them feel that. You know, it's like I wish I could have them feel the Beethoven late quartets. I mean, and I can't. You know, they've got to learn it themselves. And once they get there and they feel it, once you feel that excitement, that intellectual, it's transcending.
If I could describe the internship program in one word, it would be enrichment.
If I could describe the internship program in one word, it'll be growth.
If I could describe the internship program in one word, it would be discovery.
If I could describe the internship experience in one word, it would be instrumental.
If I could describe the internship program in one word, it'd be productive.
If I could describe the internship program in one word, it would be innovative.